Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Time
How's
for
that for a
late
starter?
dish.
Time for a late dish.
Hello.
Hello. Welcome back to Covered
Oh.
Dish, the show where we cook it up and eat it.
I am Brooke and I'm joined as always by my Victorian Goth co-host Eileen Galvin. Tell us about this.
I like I like to serve subtlety. I like to serve femininity. Girl, may I come out to you before we get really started? Can I just come out to you?
Absolutely.
For the last time. I am a woman now. And she is on my head.
Uh, you found her.
I found
you
her.
Found her. She found you. You became one.
She found me. We found each other. And so let me just tell you, when I put this dumb thing on my head, I cannot explain to you the feeling of power. Like, I should be trusted to make no decisions. You know what I mean?
feel
Like,
you.
let me tell you, dear viewers at home, that sense of power, of sexuality that you feel. One might call it the narcissistic female gaze. I think I read that in a paper once. That's the Lord's work. That's exactly what he intended. That is the right thing to be doing to yourself, and you should lean in, because I don't know what it is about this look in particular. I feel like a goth Harajuku teen who is trying to be the main character from the 1950s Disney Alice in Wonderland.
Ooh, yes, I could see that. The collar really brings out peak Disney Alice. Don't sue us, Disney. We don't have the rights to that.
Oh, let's call her Isney.
Very subtle. Nobody knows.
Very subtle.
Isnay. How is the rest of the look looking, though? Give us a stand. Give us a stand.
Take a stand.
Take a stand.
All right, so this is my little goth dream jumpsuit. So this is actually like a very wide legged. I don't know if you can see. It's a jumpsuit.
Wow. Okay. Yes.
And it's very like, oh, I've lost my way in the woods. You know, it gives me very that. It's got a nice like cotton voile blouse on the top with some nice little buttons. So if it gets hot, you know, for the summer picnic, you can unbutton the cuff and just let the wrists air. But you should be prepared to explain yourself to the authorities, because that is, of course, illegal. And it has pockets in it. Yeah. So you can carry the corkscrew, you can carry the dead mice that you skin later and make your sort of like mouse bone dioramas, you know, all the goth activities.
I feel like you could fit a whole bottle of champagne in there. That is a deep pocket.
No, they're actually not as deep as they look. They only go to about...
But it was an illusion. Very Alice in Wonderland.
It's an illusion. They keep going and going. It's a pocket dimension in there. So, yes. And I have to say, I have to give a shout out to Ms. Staley Monroe, who gave me this very, very sweet, gentle Victorian fan for the drawing room, for the parlor, really for any room in the home.
We love Staley on the dish. I love it. Yes. It's very subtle. It's very you. It's a brunch fan, like a weekday brunch fan. You know what I mean? Like a quick breakfast, maybe a muffin fan, if you will.
A crumb.
Just a little.
Just a crumb. A crumb and a splash of tea.
Speaking of tea. Oh, girl, you're so subtle, which I love that. I love that subtle about you. So what are we dishing on tonight?
All right, so tonight, why thank you, Denise. Denise is looking stunning as always.
Denise!
Would you believe, by the way, I'm sorry, I'm not, wait, just one more thing about the look, I promise, just one more. Would you believe, Brooke, and you probably would because I told you before we went live, that this is just a half wig? That this little thing just sits on top of my mushroom cap bowl cut, and when I took this bitch out of the box, I could not believe how well the color matched. So, again, don't let me into the house in this wig. Bad things will happen. I will.
But it's such a beautiful story. So you didn't plan for it to match that well, then?
No, I was like, oh, that's close, and I planned to wear it as a full wig, like pull it over to my, tuck my hair back, wear the cap, the whole thing. But then I put it on my head, and I was like,
this is it.
This is me now. This is me now.
you now?
I was like, they're about to get real sick of this hair. They're about to get real sick of this
I
hair.
love it. No, use it up. We're coming out of a pandemic. Things are still tense. No one's getting vaccinated. We're going to live like this forever.
Terrifying.
Get vaccinated.
Terrifying. Please get vaccinated. Listen, I feel like there was a big push for all the people who were like, get me first in line. I'm going to get it. And now we're starting to see the reluctance. So if you have people in your life, this is just a random PSA. This has nothing to do with the topic. If you've got people in your life who are feeling maybe on the fence, that are feeling, ambivalent, please talk to them, convince them to get the vaccine, because we want to have gay Christmas again. And we're not going to be able to...
Which is pride.
Yes, which is pride. For the uninitiated. Boop, straight. And we want to
How did you get here? Okay, sorry.
Is this Cooking 101? Nope. Mm-mm.
Cut in post.
Cut in post. So anyway...
I love it. So what dish are we dishing on?
So tonight we are discussing a pivotal moment in every young woman's life. When she decides to open the relationship. And now this is not, I'm joking, of course. This is just any kind of relationship. Straight, gay, monogamous, non-monogamous. We want to hear from you. Have you had that discussion before? Have you opened up a relationship? How did it go? Did it feel safe? Lessons learned. That's what we aim to cover on this fine evening tonight.
But before we get there,
yes,
the other dish.
We would be remiss if we did not give you some food porn.
All right, am I on the dish cam?
So here we are. Well, first we have the for the announcement, the preview image. So
oh, good. Okay.
Introduce us, Brooke. Who are we talking to? Who are we eating tonight?
Who are we talking to? She is Beauty. She is Grace. She is Atlantic salmon, and we love to see it.
She's in head to toe lace. There she is.
She's beautiful. Oh, she's very beautiful, looking very chic and raw there. So, I have friends. I have two friends who love my salmon. So I was like, well, this is perfect. I'll make it. I do a ginger soy marinated salmon, and the thing about seafood is you have to be really careful. You can't actually marinate it. I marinate it while I cook it because the acid in the citrus will eat away at the fish. So if you actually do a marinade for a long time with a fish, really over an hour, it actually eats away at the proteins of the fish.
Wow.
So whereas when I ate meat and I would do chicken and steak, I'd throw it in a marinade and leave it in overnight. You can't do that. You can't even do that with certain types of delicate fish for an hour. So I've had to get a marinade brush and marinate live. So I do I do soy sauce, rice vinegar, grated ginger, grated garlic, lots and lots of garlic. I love to do a little fish sauce in that marinade, sesame oil or toasted sesame oil. And
Same.
You need fresh lime juice.
Yes.
And I know it's annoying to get in certain places, but I love a fresh citrus. Lemon is fine too, but it's so good.
Yeah. Now, girl, do you ever use mirin? Do you ever use rice vinegar?
Yes, I have rice vinegar in this as well.
Yum. I love it. That's
such
actually
a good acid.
Yeah, and that's very, very umami. So I'm going to switch you over to the dish cam now. Whilst we prepare. Ooh, zoom in. Give us a close up. I'm ready for my close up. Dennis.
Can you see it?
Yeah, lift her up just a little bit. Oh, la jolie. La belle.
So I did it with a garlic broccolini, and I'm about to throw some. I'm sure about to throw some punches at some people, but I did it with a farro because Mama's watching her cows. Okay, got a trip coming up. Got to be careful.
Mama's getting into some ancient grains.
Mmm.
Oh, yum! Is it tender?
It's so tender.
Yum.
The skin is crispy, which I love.
Mm. Monty always likes to take the skin off his salmon, but I love the skin. I think it adds a whole nother dimension, and if you sear it, it's crispy.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to have to eat this. There's no good way to eat this.
Moum. Get that broccolini.
I used at least 10 cloves of garlic between the salmon marinade and the garlic and the broccolini.
Yeah.
Which I think broccolini is just so pretty and leggy. I love it in a dish. Mm.
Ooh. Does that remind you of anyone you know, Brooke? Does that remind you?
And I love salmon because you can't fuck it up.
It's
really
really,
hard to fuck
it's
up.
really hard to fuck it up. I've undercooked salmon before. It was a little too pink in the middle, and one time I dried it out. But I don't tend to marinate my salmon. We've made salmon once before. You veteran viewers of the dish may remember. I made a seared salmon dish that had so the sauce was pretty similar to Brooke's in that I used coconut aminos. Because I don't know, I just like those a little bit more than some of the actual soy sauces. It's like a gentler umami. And then there was mirin, there was toasted sesame oil, and there's one other thing I put in there that I can't remember at the moment. But anyway, yeah, those like you got to build up the umami stuff together, and with the garlic on top of that, oh, forget about it, so good. And it's so quick. Salmon is so quick. You can sear it for dinner if you don't have a lot of time in like 10 minutes. And then you got a meal.
I do everything on the stovetop.
Yeah.
I feel like I never turn my oven on anymore.
And why would you, frankly?
We'll have to do some casserole, like woman on the go shit. So, girl, I'm about to fuck up this salmon skin. It's going to be so good. Wait, hold on. Look at that.
Oh, girl, get into it. Oh, I'm getting turned on just looking at it. Yum.
I'm about to fuck this up. It's going to take me 3 minutes to eat. This piece is going to be so chewy. So tell me, what is your like favorite boundary to dish on in an open relationship?
Okay, so as we know, if I can be controversial, brave, open, honest, and transparent with you this evening, I am in an open relationship. I'm in an open long-term relationship. So for me, I think the biggest thing, I feel like I'm not a very possessive person. I'm like, yes, please go out, meet other people. I don't necessarily need to know all the details, but I would like to know, like, when, you know? I'd like to know who and when. But you have to build up a lot of trust to get to that point. And I think one of the big things for me is just, like, whatever happens, it's just don't do it in the same bed that we share. That's the same. That's the thing for me. So now that may sound somewhat privileged because, you know, there's a lot of people that don't always have access to a second bed. You know what I mean? But that's just my thing because it just feels right emotionally for me. And that's the thing. So if I could extrapolate from my own personal experience, I would say, I think in open relationships, not all of the boundaries or of the things that you want or need are rational. But you really have to listen to yourself and honor, like, oh yeah, that is something that's important to me. And instead of trying to work around it, which is probably not going to work out, you just have to kind of accept it as a reality and move with it.
I love that. And I think one of the challenges is, and then I'll get to my favorite rule or boundary, because we don't like the word rule. I'm sure there's like 80 books on it. They're coming for me. I'll protect myself with a small wooden fan. One of the things that drives me crazy is kind of the pontificating and the talking about it. So, like, you need to talk about it. But I think a lot of people are like, well, this is how I handle it, blah, blah, blah. And then you scratch the surface like a little lotto ticket. And you're like, but have you done this before? You're like, well, no. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. And say all the things and let's process all the things. And then when you experience it, let's talk again, because doing and saying are so different in this situation. And I think that there's a lot of people who say, and who truly believe this is not, I don't think it's a manipulation. Oh, wow. Yeah. Like this is how I would be in an open relationship. And then in practice, it feels very different. It looks very different. And the dissonance there is, what did I sign up for?
Right. Totally. I think, I've had friends who, when you open a relationship, sometimes it starts out feeling a little one-sided, and sometimes it remains a little one-sided for one reason or another. We've touched on this a little bit before, but sometimes someone is a little bit more extroverted. Maybe they're a little bit more vivacious, you know, they just... Maybe
they're a performer who's just out more.
Maybe they're a performer who goes out and they work going out, and they are just naturally, it's part of their skill set that they just form connections quickly with people. Okay, sometimes...
Joie de vivre.
Break for the truth. But anyway, that's hard sometimes because it leaves the sense that things are uneven or lopsided, or someone else is like, well, they're going out and meeting a bunch of people. What's wrong with me? Why can't I do this?
Right.
You know? And that can lead to sensitive, raw feelings. But you just have to kind of work through that. And so then the flip side of that is the other person who is more, maybe they're more of a natural at forming those quick connections. If the other partner who doesn't normally date other people starts to date another person, you have to move from theory to practice. And you can be like, I think this is going to be totally fine with me. I know who I am. I'm not a jealous person. I'm going to be totally fine with this. And this is myself included, by the way. Like, I'm not, not just talking in the abstract, but for me personally, when my partner was like, oh, I lined up a couple coffee dates with people and I kind of, I'm just going to see where it goes. I was kind of like, oh, now it's happening.
You're like, well, that's just fine.
I love that for you. You know what I mean? Like, you're trying really hard to be supportive, but then also it's like, oh shit, it's actually happening. And then you have to deal with your feelings.
I feel that. So I promise I'll get to my rule. I'll get to my favorite rule, but not yet. I really love this word and I use it a lot in conversations with, potential partners. And that word is compersion, which is one of my favorite words.
Ooh, come on, AP English.
Non-monogamy speak, which is the opposite, technically, right? The opposite of jealousy, right? So compersion is finding joy and feeling joy when your other person has found someone else to experience joy with.
You have about to got me going on dictionary.com looking
Girl,
up this
dictionary.com.
amazing.
I didn't make up this fucking word.
I know you didn't, but I want to know who she is. I want to know all about it.
I want to know what she's wearing this season. I want to know.
Compersion, who has it, who wants it, who needs it. You know what I mean? Oh my God. So it's like the opposite of schadenfreude. It's like feeling joy from others' pleasure.
So
as opposed to their pain.
Right. So I think for me, in terms of like, I consider myself someone who experiences compersion. Mm-hmm. I also think for almost every experience where I've had that, it's a mix of that and jealousy. And I think it's light side, dark side, Luke, Leia bullshit, right? So it is because it's like, okay, I'm 80% in that space of joy and 20% of my insecurity or my fear of losing you or my fear of losing myself and all these other things come into it. So
losing who we are as part of when we get really close to people and we let people in, our identity gets wrapped up in the other person, and so they become part of us. And when we feel like the us is threatened, we feel like the me is threatened.
Yeah. So I like that word. I think it's a really good word, but I think it's also it can be a little dangerous, I think, when talking about it, because people are like, well, I don't experience jealousy. Oh my God, I had an ex who said that once. Shout out to that terrible person. I had an ex who said that once. Who was like, I don't believe in jealousy. I was like, I'm sorry. What do you mean you don't believe in jealousy?
Well, jealousy believes in you, Sharon.
You can like not believe in the tooth fairy, but like jealousy is an emotion. So like she didn't even acknowledge that like anyone around, like she's like, no, it's not jealousy. It has to be something else. And I don't experience jealousy.
Oh.
Also, she did experience jealousy. Big time.
Oh,
anyway.
Oh no. I hate that for her. So,
we love to see her go and we love to see her leave. Okay. The catch of a true, I think, compersionist is acknowledging the jealousy, whether you look at it as a range or a spectrum or a percentage. I look at it as a percentage, like underneath it. So it's like, okay, compersion and jealousy are an ironic phrase, bedfellows, and I think they do ebb and flow and live together. But it's your responsibility to manage that. So my favorite boundary to discuss and things like that is the drawbridge rule, which is...
You said this to me when we were having a meeting about this show, and I was like, what was that? Wait, don't tell me. Let's talk about it on Tuesday.
So I have gotten asked this question by people who are like asking about non-monogamy, and they're like, well, what kind of rules do you have? Like the drawbridge rule. So I heard this from cis monogamous people who were like, so I'm like, okay, you know about it. Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
Wait, let's get a thumbnail. Hold on.
This is clickbait. Just like great. Us moving in to kiss each other.
I was holding it for so long.
It's what the internet wants. They just want us to make out.
Give them what we want. Oh my God, talk about a mess. So much hair. Anyway, so the drawbridge rule is in a partnership that is non-monogamous, that you and your partner both have the right to draw the bridge up from the moat and close the relationship. So
Yes.
I like to use the example of like, a tragedy in your life where you're like, okay, I'm feeling really extra vulnerable. I need whatever, blah, blah, you to show up. But here's the thing about the drawbridge rule, y'all. I'll just say I've witnessed the abuse of the drawbridge rule. And the abuse of the drawbridge rule is I'm insecure, the drawbridge is going up.
Yeah. Oh, I feel threatened, so now I'm gonna draw it up.
Without any. And it can happen.
Yeah.
Right. And it can happen two ways. One, we're going to close the relationship, or in my opinion, worse, I'm going to cut myself off from you because I don't feel safe enough with you to continue moving forward with this. I'm going to stay in the partnership because I'm not good at conflict, because I'm like, I don't know, socialized female and I'm from the Midwest. But I'm going, right? Like, this is real. It's a real challenge.
Right.
And, and I'm not even from the Midwest. I mean, I'm from Buffalo, which is the Midwest of New York, so it's fine. But like, you know what I mean? What you have to ask yourself, and you don't want these hard and fast rules where it's like, well, only if a family member dies can you use the drawbridge rule. The point of it is to give safety. The question is, if you're pulling it up, if you're pulling the bridge up every time you feel insecure, is it really an open relationship?
Right. I love that you said the Luke and Leia dichotomy, because I think that trope of good versus evil, it's
very subtle too.
It is very subtle. It's very old. It's very traditional, and a lot of narratives are trying to tell something about the human condition. But the funny thing is about the good versus evil stark dichotomy, there's only one and the other, is that you have things like the foil, the dramatic foil, right? Mm-hmm. Luke's foil is his father, who he doesn't know is his father, but his mortal enemy. He's shown to be his father, and that's supposed to reflect back, oh, there is part of this evil within myself. And so it's the same thing with jealousy and compersion, right? It's another dichotomy. Right. I think the ultimate moral ethical ideal in a relationship is that you only celebrate the joys of the other person. You shouldn't feel things like jealousy, right? Especially in the sort of woke left, non-monogamous affirming circles that we run in, Brooke. I think there's look at the good we do.
Look at the hair we have.
Yeah, in the hair having circles that we run in, Brooke. You're like, let's not get crazy, girl. It's one night, okay? You're gonna be snatched bald next week. We know. So anyway, jealousy is a real thing, and I think we all need to acknowledge that, just like all of us have to acknowledge the internalized racism, the internalized homophobia, the internalized transphobia, all that good stuff. We have to acknowledge that we can pretend that jealousy is not a thing, but we're all going to feel it at some point in time. So we shouldn't be surprised that it's going to come up, because of course it will. It's a human emotion. Right. But then when you feel the knee-jerk reaction, oh, I'm threatened, I need to pull up the drawbridge. Oh, okay, can we talk about it? Yes, let's, everything press pause, right? Because if people are not feeling safe in the relationship, we press pause. Right. But now we need to talk about it and unpack it and find out where it's coming from and what it says about us and how we move past it.
I love that. And I think it is the over communication is so crucial. And those kind of hard and fast rules, I think get risky, because then you feel like you have to talk less because you have rules. And it's no, you have to talk more, because you know what I mean? You can't rely on those, because, especially in a partnership where someone is not as experienced, which statistically someone is always going to be more experienced at it, right? Just statistically, you're not going to have the same experiences. One of you, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you may say, oh, okay, you know what, actually, I'm really comfortable with this. And then you experience it and you're like, oh, wow, I'm not. I don't need you to stop. I need to talk to you about it, process through it, and maybe do some processing with self, of course, and friends. But if you're not communicating, you just shut down. That's not fair. That's not fair either.
It is, yeah, because it's gonna, at the very least, it's gonna make the other person worry about you.
Right, and it just you feel that chasm grow. So it's a real upper. Anyways, so let's talk about the top three worst places to ask your partner for an open relationship. I'll go first.
Okay.
Top 3 worst places to open it to try to have a conversation with your partner who doesn't see this coming.
This is like the Family Feud.
Lilith Fair.
What is Lilith Fair? And also,
what is Lilith Fair? Oh my God! Get in the chat.
Sarah in this outfit, I feel like I should go too.
Oh my God, you would love Lilith Fair. Lilith Fair is a defunct female comedy festival run by Sarah McLachlan that just had like wafy white women singing guitar. I'm going to go ahead and assume they didn't let in trans women. It was the 90s. I'm just going to make some assumptions. If someone
they were like building a mystery. They were like building a mystery in the arms of the angel. Trans woman can't come. Those were the 3 songs they always play.
Yeah. So Lilith Fair, oh my God, it was it. It was just all these like ethereal white women in like those lace tops that just had a tie in the back that was just like a fancy handkerchief.
Macrame.
Lilith Fair was like peak. Yes. So much macrame. Macrame tops, macrame, everything. Macrame to eat. They just ate it. It was all vegan.
There's 10 vendors down by the food trucks and they're all macrame.
It's just in different shapes of food.
Yeah.
So yes, a Lilith Fair, any music festival, not the best plan. All right, you give a space. Worst place to ask your partner for an open relationship.
When you are driving to a show out of town and you're in the car, so you're driving. Not that
on the phone.
Not that I've done this before.
Actively driving away from your partner.
Actively driving away from the other person, and then you decide now's the time. Now's the time. I'm gonna
That's good. Okay, I got asked. Oh, I have a good one. This is a good one. Top 3 worst places to ask your partner for an open relationship. When they take you out for your birthday dinner at a steakhouse and you spring it on them that you actually are already in an open relationship and you have another birthday date after dinner.
Oh, wow. See, so I guess there's a common thread here, which is you need to give people space to process and talk about it.
Ow. Ow. Long hair
do
problem.
You need a brush? Here, borrow my brush. Take it.
Oh, girl, thank you. Okay.
Here you go.
Okay. Yeah, thanks. Oh my God, we gotta cut it in post.
We need to stage props.
No, yeah. The main thing is not at music festivals, I would say, or on any illicit drugs. Probably not actively driving away from your partner for a long weekend.
No. And
maybe not. I do hate the I'm going to finagle cheating into non-monogamy conversation, which is that's what that was. I was like, so I've been cheating.
No,
twist, I'm non-monogamous.
No, I've been in that situation before too because it's a long and storied history. But there were times where I thought I understood the boundaries and that we hadn't talked about it for 2.5 years, and then it turns out I didn't understand what they were. Because you might think the more time goes on that you have to keep checking in, right? You don't keep checking in, you think you understand the boundaries, and then you look at them from your partner's point of view and you're like, those are opposite boundaries. So
you just gotta keep checking in, and we're gonna keep checking in. We're gonna keep checking in with you all. We will be back. We are here every Tuesday at 7. Eileen will be goth in drinking whiskey out of a Kita. Oh my gosh, stone sober Kita.
That's called contact inebriation, Brooke.
Oh my God!
So Brooke, you have to go so soon. Is there a particular reason that you have to go? Is there something you're jet setting off to that you'd like to tell everyone about?
So comedy is back in South Florida and in Columbus, Ohio. Comedy's back. So. So I had my first show last week, which is awesome. It was at the Villain Theater. If you're ever in South Florida, definitely check it out. They're awesome. And there's this amazing queer group of comedians called the House of Yas. And check them out on Instagram as well. So they're super great and they have a bunch of shows. And I'm really excited. I'm so stoked. Honestly, like just moment of vulnerability to find queer comics down here.
Yeah.
It's been a lot of like mall prov. Like it's been a lot of like comedy shows in malls. Which we love to see.
Yeah,
they pay the bills. We love them.
Yes.
And it's just really good to find some folks. So I'll be back. I'm always going to be here with the dish, and we will keep talking more about non-monogamy. If you know the worst place to ask for your partner to be in an open relationship, comment in the group chat. Let's get it going.
Yeah, let us know
we love to see it.
Yeah, we probably haven't hit it yet, but there's still time. We haven't
scratched the surface. Yeah, I feel like there's so many bad places.
Yeah. Well, Brooke, have an amazing show tonight. I'm so excited that shows are coming back. Yeah, we'll tell you more about that next time. So until then, my darlings, brush your wigs.
Hair. Give us a little more hair. Give us a little more hair.
Brush your wigs.
Yes. Yes.
And we'll see you next Tuesday on the next Cover Dish. Bye, babies.